Before we jump into our primary topic, let's talk to our module of the week correspondent. We're going to bring in Chris Wells. Martin actually got delayed at the airport today, and we reached out to Chris, and he jumped right into the seat and is going to tell us about our module of the week. For those of you that don't know, Chris is the CTO at Redfin Solutions and a co-project lead for the Project Browser Strategic Initiative. Chris, tell us more about our module of the week.
Have you ever wanted a simple but accessible drop-down navigation on your Drupal website? There's a module for that. So the module is called Disclosure Menu, available at the usual place, drupal.org/project/disclosure_menu. So it was created just over a year ago in November of 2022 by Jay Huskins of Redfin Solutions. And there's a 2.1.5 version available right now, and that works with Drupal 9 and 10. It is actively maintained, and we had a recent commit within the last month. There is not currently test coverage. That's something that we obviously welcome any input on. And there is documentation in the readme.markdown file that comes with it. And I love that providing a readme means that there's documentation available on the GitLab source page for the module. And there's only 2 open issues, neither of which are bugs. There's about 30 sites using it, 29 as of today. And Jay Huskins from Redfin does continue to support the module. Probably the reason that there's not a lot of bugs or issues is that 29 usage number, and maybe that will change after some exposure today on Talking Drupal. So what this thing actually does is it uses WAI's pattern for an accessible menu using disclosure buttons. And it does that by just providing a menu block. Really, the history came from using Superfish in Drupal 7 sites for so long, but realizing that Superfish didn't have a lot of great accessibility to it. The whole idea of hovering doesn't exist on tablet or mobile, but doesn't exist for people who don't use a mouse or a pointer device. So they have a pattern. The WAI has a pattern. The Web Accessibility Initiative, I think that's right, has a pattern for markup for a menu with a button that lets you toggle it open and closed. For example, with Superfish, you would have to tab to that first one, but then you'd have to tab through all the children to get to the second one. So using this pattern is a lot more accessible for keyboard users. So when you activate that button, that's what toggles the visibility of those child items. And there's also ARIA labels that are provided that provide clarity around what those buttons do and what they're for. And in fact, this is very similar to the pattern that is used in Olivero, but a lot of the menu theming for Olivero was sort of baked into Olivero at the theme layer. So the advantage here is using that pattern with a module that can be installed on any site from Contrib, and then just being able to theme it through your regular theme.
So this sounds like it's the kind of thing that you would normally just do at the template level every time you build a theme, but now it's just a Contrib module that just adds that, and then you just have to style it, right?
Exactly, yeah. It's just the way that nice menus used to work, or Superfish would work, where you can just provide a block. So the way you use it is you go to your block management page, you put it in your navigation region or your header region, you place that block there, and it's just styles from there. And there's a lot of good configuration too around how the JavaScript interacts with the buttons. So there's some tweaks there.
So this is going to be a dumb question. If we were to rename this module, could we rename it to like better accessible drop-down menus? Is that kind of like what it gets out of the box?
I think that is a very good but much longer name. But okay, that's really what it is, a better accessible drop-down menu.
Cool. All right. So that makes a little bit more sense to me than disclosure menus. In disclosure is what just to clarify, that's the kind of like ARIA attribute that's being used for these menu items. Is that fair to say?
It's really just the fact that there's a toggle that discloses the children. So it's almost like in the sense of an accordion where you click the button and then you see the children. So when you are a keyboard user, are you trying to go to that top level menu item, or are you trying to see the children? So by exposing that as two different sort of intents, now the keyboard user is able to explicitly say what it is that they want to do. Whereas in Superfish, you'd tab to the first item and it would expose all the children automatically. Then you would have to tab through all the children before you get to the second one. So now you tab past the button, you tab to the next one.
And I assume this handles multiple levels? Like if you have tertiary or quaternary levels, you get buttons for each level?
Sorry, what was that? What was that last word there?
Quaternary.
That's what comes after tertiary. All right.
Yeah,
Today I learned something.
Yeah, I know that 5 probably exists like quinternary or something, but I don't know. I've never had to go that deep in a menu.
I bet you it's quaternary.
Anyway, what was your question, Nick?
Does it support multiple levels? And it provides a disclosure button at the second level, third level if needed.
Awesome.
We don't recommend that you go to very deep levels, but yeah, it can be done.
I have one last question. Does it? So it says so you said it provides a menu block. I assume that means that it has all the default Drupal menu block things. Like if you want to only show the first 2 levels or only show level 2 past, like I imagine this handles that, or is this really just expecting it to be?
Is that core? Isn't that added by another module?
Oh wait, you might be right.
Child menu module.
You're right.
Or actually, I think back in the day was called menu block module. So we're not providing a capital menu, capital B block. We're providing a lowercase menu block. And most of the configuration is specific to how you want the JavaScript to interact and that sort of thing. For example, you can actually hide the disclosure buttons unless someone is using a keyboard, so they show up only when you tab to it. That's one option that is kind of available, but generally not recommended because you generally want to provide the same experience to folks, whether they're sighted or not, keyboard or not, whatever mechanism they happen to be using. But
all right. Well, that was fun.
Yeah. And we'd love to see people use it, check it out. And it's a great, that especially being so involved in Project Browser Initiative, wanting to see more low code, no code solutions. If you want an accessible menu, download it and turn it on. Hopefully soon you can do that with Project Browser.
There you go. Cross promotion. I love it. Chris, thank you for joining us. Thank you for filling in this week on short notice. And if folks wanted to connect with you, how could they go about doing that?
Oh, find me on Mastodon on Drupal.community. I'm there as Chris from Redfin. I'm pretty much Chris from Redfin anywhere else, so feel free to find me there. But I think I do most of my Drupal chatting on Mastodon these days.
And there you go. Thanks a lot, Chris.